Today we are doing lesson 6.1 and 6.2 combined, percents, fractions, and decimals. Our I can statements for today: I can compare and order fractions, decimals, and percents, and I can solve real-life problems. All right, so for our key idea here, we're writing percents as decimals and decimals as percents. When we write percents as decimals, we remove that percent symbol. Then we divide by 100, and that is the same thing as moving the decimal place 2 places to the left. So if we had 23%, we add a decimal at the end of our number since we don't see a decimal. And then we move it 2 spaces to the left. 23% means the same thing as 23 hundredths. And then changing decimals to percents, same thing, except it's the opposite. So if we start with a decimal, we're going to multiply by 100, which is the same thing as moving the decimal places 2 places to the right. So taking the decimal that's already there, moving it 2 places to the right, and then we have 36%. Your percent number is always going to look bigger than your decimal form. So if you're not sure about which way to move the decimal, think about the percent number is going to look bigger than the decimal number, even though they do mean the same thing. All right, so let's go ahead and try some of these problems. So first two, we're going to take our percent, we're going to write them as a decimal. 52%, add my decimal here at the end, 1, 2 places to the left, 52%. As a decimal is 52 hundredths. Write 7% as a decimal. Again, we're adding a decimal places, 1, 2. We don't have enough digits here, so we're going to need a placeholder 0. So 0.07 is our decimal there. All right, let's take a minute to try a couple decimal to percent problems. This time we're moving our decimal 2 places to the right. 47 hundredths, 1, 2 decimal places gives us 47%. 1 and 8 tenths, 1, 2 places. I need a placeholder 0 there since I don't have enough digits. 180%. All right, here are 6 problems to try on your own. Go ahead and pause the video and write down your answers. Okay, let's check our answers. Percent to decimal. We are moving our decimal 2 places to the left. 1, 2, placeholder 0. We're going to have 0.03, which is 3 hundredths. Okay, 1 and 7/10%, add that decimal to the end of the number. 1, 2 places over, 1 and 7 hundredths. Oops, I don't want a percent there. Okay, 1 and 7 hundredths. Number 3 already has a decimal there. Still percent form, even though I had a decimal point in it because of that sign there. Move it 2 places over. That's going to give us 0.927, which is 927 thousandths. All right, 4, 5, and 6, we're taking the decimal point. We're moving it 2 places to the right to write our decimal as a percent. So 1, 2 places over is going to give me 94%. 1, 2, placeholder 0 needed, 120%. 1, 2, decimals moving in front of that 5/10%. So you might still have a decimal in your percent answer. This one had a decimal, this one had a decimal. It's just a matter of moving your decimal 2 places either to the right if you are making it a percent, or 2 places to the left if you're taking your percent and making it to a decimal. All right, let's take a look at our next type of problem. It says the figure shows the portion of ultraviolet rays reflected by 4 different surfaces. How many times more UV rays are reflected by the water than the sea foam? Okay, how many times more means we're going to divide. We have to divide to figure out 2 times more, 3 times more. We have to divide to figure that out, how many times more. So even though it kind of sounds like multiplication, when I'm looking for how many times more, I need to divide. All right, so we're comparing water and sea foam. So water and sea foam, here they are. Sea foam's 25%. Water is 20 over 25. And I need to figure out how many times more. And I'm going to divide in the order that they give us here. Water first, divided by our seafoam number. So I have 21 25ths divided by 25%. Okay, well, in order to do this, I need to either make both numbers fractions, make both numbers decimals, or make both numbers percents. It doesn't really matter. So let's see. I'm going to go over here, 21 over 25. If I want to make it a percent, that means I need to make it out of 100, because percent means out of 100. So I know to get from 25 to 100, I can multiply by 4. So I could multiply 21 by 4, and that would give me 84 over 100, which means the same thing as 84%. So that's one way I could take it and do 84% divided by 25%. The other way I could do it is to make 25 into a fraction. So 25% means 25 out of 100. So I could take this problem and I could write it as 21 over 25 divided by 25 over 100. I could do it either way. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you both ways just so that you see it, and then when you do problems like this on your own, you can pick the strategy you like the best. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep change flip here for my fractions. 21 over 25 divided by 100 over 25. I know that 25 and 100 cross cancel. 100 divided by 25 is 4. And 25 divided by 4 is 1. I'm sorry, 25 divided by 25 is 1. And now I'm writing multiply straight across. So 21 divided, oops, I did keep change flip and I still wrote a division sign there. 21 times 4 is 84. 1 times 25 is 25. So I have 84 25ths. I do need to make that into a mixed number. So 84 divided by 25. 25 goes into 84 3 times. And 3 times 25 is 75. 84 minus 75 is 9. So I would have 3 and 9 25ths. Whoops, I don't know why I wrote 24 there. Let me fix that. Said the right thing, but wrote the wrong thing. 3 and 9 25ths times more. So that's how I would get that answer if I was using fractions. If I was doing the percents, I would still write 84 divided by 25, which we already said was 3. But let's say I wanted to do a decimal this time, if I was just dividing with the percents. I would add a decimal and a 0, bring it down. Oh, let's see, 25, got to bring that decimal point up too, goes into 90 still 3 times. 3 times 25, give myself some more space here, 75 again. 90 minus 75 is 15. I would need to add a 0, bring it down. And 25 goes into 156 times exactly. So I could have also had 3 and 36 hundredths times more as my answer. It means the same thing. So up to you if you want to divide with the decimals, divide with the percents, divide with the fractions, but you do need to make those numbers into the same form before you do the division. All right, so our next type of problem is comparing two values, one as a fraction or a decimal and one as a percent. So, which is greater, 3/20 or 16%? So, we need them in the same form. I think for this one, I'll go ahead and just take 3/20 and make it a decimal. And then I'll take my decimal and make it into a percent. So 3/20, remember when we make that a decimal, we do numerator divided by denominator. 3 divided by 20. 20 does not go into 3 a whole number of times, so I'm going to add a 0 and a decimal and a 0. 20 goes into 30, one time. 1 times 20 is 20. When I subtract, I get 10. Bring that down the next 0. 20 goes into 105 times exactly. So I have 15/100ths. Then I got to make it a percent. So I move decimals 2 places over, and that would be equal to 15%. So which one is greater? 16%. I do need to show my work for how I get it. I can't just look at those numbers and say this one is bigger. Okay, let's try the next one, which is greater, 79% or 8/100ths. Let's see, I'm going to change my percent into a decimal this time, or I could change the decimal into percent. Maybe I'll do decimal to percent, actually. That way I'm comparing my whole numbers. Move that decimal 2 places over. 79% is greater than 8%. All right, so here's our next type of problem. You, your sister, and a friend each take the same number of shots at a soccer goal. You make 72% of your shot. Your sister makes 9/25ths of her shots, and your friend makes 67/100ths of his shots. Who made the fewest shots? We need to put them all in the same form. It doesn't matter if it is a percent or if it's a decimal or a fraction with common denominator, but you need to make it the same form. 72%. Sister. 19/25ths. And friend 67/100ths. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to make them all percents. So I'll start with the friend. Move that decimal 2 places over. That's going to be 67%. All right, sister. I know that I can multiply 25 by 4 to make it 100. Because remember, percent means out of 100. So I would do 19 times 4. I'm going to do that math off to the side. 9 times 4 is 36. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So 76 out of 100, which is 76%. No matter how you're changing them, you do need to show the work, even if that work is just moving the decimal. Okay, who made the fewest shots? 72%, 76%, 67%. So the fewest shots, that was the friend. That has the lowest amount. All right, for this problem, you make 75% of your shots. Your sister makes 13/20ths of her shots, and your friend makes 7/10ths of his shots. Who made the most shots? So here you are, again, going to compare and make them all the same form. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, let's go ahead and check our answers. Okay, the last one I made them all percents. I think this time I will make them all decimals to compare. So you had 75%. Sister made 13 out of 20. Friend 7/10. Okay, so I said I'm going to make them all decimals this time. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so that would give me 75 hundredths. Okay, sister, 13/20. I'm going to do it over here. 13 divided by 20. 20 does not go into 13 a whole number of times. So I'm going to add a decimal. Okay, 20 goes into 136 times. 6 times 20 is 120. Subtract to get 10. Add a 0, bring it down. 20 goes into 105 times. Exactly. So my decimal for 13/20 is 65 hundredths. And since we're comparing decimals, we need to have everything in the same amount of decimal places. So I'm just going to add in an extra placeholder 0 here, 70 hundredths. Who made the most shots this time? And that's going to be you. You have 75 hundredths, which is bigger than 65 hundredths and 70 hundredths. All right, this is our last problem here. The map shows the portions of the U.S. population that live in 5 states. List the states in order by population from least to greatest. Okay, so in order to do this least to greatest, we do need to make them all the same form. So it looks like I have 2 that are fractions. Fraction. I have 2 that are decimals, and I have 1 that's percent. So I can make them all into the same form. It doesn't matter which one you do. I guess I'm going to do percent this time. Okay. So Washington. 1 out of 50. That'll be pretty quick for me to change into something over 100. Times 2 there, times 2 here. So that is like 2 out of 100, which is 2%. Michigan, 3 hundredths. Decimal over 2 places, that's going to be 3%. New York, already 6%. Ohio, 1 out of 25. I need to make that out of 100. I would times by 4 on the bottom, which means I would need to times by 4 on the top. 4 out of 100 means 4%. And California, move that decimal 2 places over to the right, 12%. Made everything a percent. Now I'm ready to order. They tell us least to greatest. So I'm listing the names of the states here. Okay, so let's see. I have 2%, 3%, 6%, 4%, 12%. 2% is going to be my smallest. So Washington, I'm just going to use the abbreviations for the state. Michigan comes next. Then my 4% for Ohio. My 6% for New York. And the 12% for California. You do have to show the work for how you got the numbers into the same form before you write your answer from least to greatest.